Test, test. Is Bill going to turn this? We'll start in a little over a minute.
Those of you at home and present, I also want you to know that the presentation for tonight is available on our homepage of our district website. So as we're clicking through, if there's information, if there are links that you see or we link to, you'll be able to do that when you get home. For those of you here, or if you're following online, you could also do that as well. As to my knowledge, this is the first of such an event like this, a State of the District event in at least recent history. And so we know that there are going to be bumps and bruises along the way, and we're going to learn from it. But we would also welcome your feedback following the event, how we can make it better. I've been, personally, my name is John Simpson. I've been the superintendent here for a little over a year. In the district for 13 years. The last 8 have been in central office as the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction, as well as in my new role. I am a resident, and so there are a lot of different ways that I could connect with you or meet with you. You may see me in the community, you may see me in school, you may want to visit me in my office, but I also wanted to share some different ways that if you ever wanted to reach out to me, you could, to connect or talk about anything. In addition to being an employee of the district for 13 years, I'm also a taxpaying resident, and I'm the father of 2 children, each taking in the Eclipse experience very differently.
But I'm a father of 2 children, one that's in our schools and currently, and one that will be at our wonderful preschool next year. So the reason that I put the children up here is not to show you how cute my kids are, and they are cute, but they're to show you that the decisions that we make, whether it's things that take place in the classroom or how we spend $1, affect me and my family personally. So I believe that all of our employees take their jobs very seriously and very personally, like it's their own children, but it literally is my own kids and my family who we're making decisions on behalf of. Governing our school system, we have an amazingly dedicated and wonderful Board of Education. A Board of Education that last year at the Missouri School Board Association meeting was one of 24 school boards in the state of Missouri to earn the Governance Award for the 2017 year. And I can assure you that to a person, these individuals care about the learning, the success, and the overall well-being for all of our children. Our board president could not be here tonight, Amy Clendenin. She sends her regrets. But tonight, I did want to acknowledge those that were in the house, and if they would just kind of stand up so people could see who you are. Dr. Arnold Stricker, Ms. Jean Dugan, and Mr. Steve Lohr. The other representatives of our Board of Education are up here on the screen. Just a little bit about the district. While some of our children come to us from the city of St. Louis and other cities around this region, the bulk of our students come to us from our 5 communities, which are Warson Woods, Glendale, Shrewsbury, Rock Hill, and Webster Groves. Our student population continues to increase on an annual basis. This year, I believe it was about 1.8%. But over recent history, we've increased population in our schools 1% to 2% every year. We have a strong belief about children that each one is beautifully unique in their own special way. But I did want to state that demographically, the bulk of our students that are in our system, about 77% of them identify as white, approximately 14 identify as black, and the other percentages of multiracial, Asian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, and other make up the others. And then we have approximately 16% of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch program, and approximately 13% students are identified with special needs at the moment. A hallmark of this district is outstanding staff, and that's people who care about children and whose care shows up in a variety of ways, including hugs, high fives, words of encouragement, and the thought that they dedicate to their work and craft, and the time that they dedicate to their own learning and their own development. It's really important that our staff see our children for both the possibility and that they promise that they are. This is the mindset with which we must see every single child. And more importantly than us, it's the importance of helping the children to see themselves for the hope and the promise that they are. Dr. Wiley is going to share a little bit about district staff later, but I did want to thank and acknowledge our building administrators, our district administrators, and some of our staff members that are here tonight, as well as recognize our newbie principals who are spread out. Mr. Bill Sinti, who's at Bristol, Dr. Lee, who is at Hickson, and Dr. Fields, who is at Computer School in Steger. In the Webster Groves School District, we're really blessed to have strong support from both families and our community. While this looks a little bit different as you go through our system from preschool through the high school, it's still present at every level, and it's really rich and meaningful and personal ways that somehow touch all kids. Along this line of support, I wanted tonight to recognize 3 particular entities that contribute a lot to our school system. One is our local PTOs that are formulated and run at each school level that really does a lot to promote the learning for the children and community at those particular schools. Our Webster Groves School District Foundation that supports innovation across our school system, and then our Alumni Association that supports bigger projects such as where we're sitting tonight. This graph was created by the Webster Groves School District Foundation to delineate between those 3 groups where their sources of funding go to and who they serve. Again, from our presentation standpoint, if you want to click on this and go to their different sites, you can. I did want to acknowledge that the foundation does a lot of work. Last year, the picture on the left represents the Funding Innovation Campaign, where money was raised to support maker spaces, which are really places for kids to tinker and experience and make products. But it's more about the process of learning, design, and conceptualizing and creating than it is about the product. And so our district raised over $12,000 for that. They're being awarded right there. And then on the right is your sitting and results of many contributions from our alumni and other people in terms of the alumni campaign. If you wish to, this weekend, we have a great event taking place, our Run for Webster, which is on Saturday morning. You can click on the Foundation's website to register. Following that, our high school band has a special mattress fundraiser that you can also go to. Really great event. And I also wanted to say, if you clicked on the Alumni Association and you want to donate to the continued evolution of this space, there's opportunities there as well. In terms of student achievement in the traditional sense, as a group, students in the Webster Grove School District have performed quite well on state and standardized measures for a long time, including things like MAP testing and ACT and AP exams. The independent niche group continues to rate our district as one of the top 10 in the state of Missouri, which is about 530 plus school systems. Last year's graduates here at the high school earned about $26 million in scholarships. There are many, many accolades that our children have received due in part to a lot to themselves as well as the support of the community around them. While our overall data continues to look really good, I did want to recognize that both in our local data and in standardized measures, we still have continued discrepancies between groups of children in our school system and in our district, including our white students and our African American students. For this reason, and because the problem is not the fault of these children's, our children's, we're acting with urgency and intention to problem solve and move towards solutions which will lead to improved outcomes, standardized and not, for these children. And you're going to hear about some of these efforts in a moment from other people. Guiding our path to an improved educational experience and outcome for all of our students is this district vision. This vision was developed about 3 years ago as a part of a strategic planning process of a number of district stakeholders and through the contributions also of district children. This vision, or our desired destination, challenges each of us every single day as well as strategically to act and think differently or innovate so that our children can better discover who they are and what they're uniquely suited to do and who they're uniquely suited to be in this world. And for us to support their acquisition of the necessary understandings and skills to independently enter this world as adults, functioning at a high level, and really to be happy. That's what this vision kind of calls us to do and calls us to be. The strategic priorities that were result of that particular process prioritize 4 things. Creating this culture of innovation, which is really about how do we continue to grow and reinvent ourselves. A lot of people get tripped up with the word innovate and they think of the next iPhone app or something like that. It's really just how are we continuing to evolve and grow and do differently by the betterment of kids. Personalized learning, how does the learning of a child reflect who they are as well as those beyond them? Sustainability is looking at not just environmental, financial sustainability, but how do our efforts promote social and emotional sustainability personally as well as in a society? And then everything is kind of encompassed in communication. So the efforts for, again, I could talk forever. This is my passion and my love. We have examples of this taking place all over our school district, and I wish I could include stuff from all of your schools. Things that I just kind of highlighted right here were, one, we have a new AP Environmental Science course at the high school that was partially funded or initiated by support of the district foundation. And so these are some kids that are testing water quality, primary productivity, and biogeochemical cycles in class. Pretty cool. So they're in their classroom setting, but they're still experimenting and discovering. We have students at one of our elementary schools, Hudson, that created a math and engineering, created a vending machine to demonstrate different math and engineering as well as entrepreneurial skills. So again, while the process and the product was a little bit differently than learning out of a textbook, still extraordinarily rich from a curricular outcome. And lastly, we have a Chelsea Dietrich Experiential Learning Center. Mr. Dietrich's here somewhere, here at Webster Groves High School, and it's a place where they design learning outcomes and experiences for children to really, again, promote self-discovery, promote their own learning, and help them understand what they want to do and what they want to be in life. This example right here is from a student who walked into that particular center wanting to be a mortician or explore being a mortician, first one ever. And they worked hard to create an experience, and this child was working for a local mortuary, and she's out, as you can see, at a gravesite at that moment. My final piece here is just I wanted to just talk a little bit about demonstrate our commitment to equity. Last year, our Board of Education adopted a resolution which really spoke to our commitment as well as our current reality with equity, some of the places that we fall short, but also it was the particular resolution was aspirational in a lot of ways. So everything that we do, we have to vet with this district vision, but we also have to vet with this resolution and see how it's promoting this equitable environment. We're doing a lot in our school system, whether it's our Equity and Ed Committee that meets on a bi-monthly basis. Anybody in our community is invited to act on different issues related to equity. There's things taking place at all of our school levels. There's groups of children that are meeting to discuss issues of equity and social justice. There's groups of staff that are meeting to do the same. Our second-year staff continue to go through an equity cohort experience, a social justice experience, and there's a lot more. We're looking at how we're infusing literature that's more reflective of our learners and, again, their world into each of our school systems. Some of the folks here are going to talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted to let you know that it is a huge priority in our school system and hopefully evident at every stage along your children's education or from your perception as a community member of our school system. Tonight's format is, again, we are going to share presentations. Some of our incredible staff are here to share, give you a brief update on their areas, the progress that they're making. We're gonna let them kind of share all their presentations, and then at the end we're gonna open up the room to any questions or comments that you have, and we'll just engage in a dialogue. It's a little bit different than a Board of Education meeting where you got your 3 minutes and we are not allowed to respond. We will respond as long as it's something that's not personal to a micro situation with one child, or it's maybe just something related to a singular school. We may save that for an offline conversation. We will still have it, but it may not be for this particular public forum. We'll officially end at 8:30. We'll let anybody who wants to leave walk out, and then for anybody who else wants to stick behind, we'll start back up at 8:35, and we'll just keep talking. Sound good? Great. With that, I'm going to introduce Dr. Kristen Dembo, who is our Assistant Superintendent for Learning, who's going to share with you about her area.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege to be here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about all of the exciting things that are going on out of the Office of Learning. And while there are many things that we could talk about, I'm going to just highlight a few things briefly around the area of curriculum assessment and the professional development that's occurring within the district. So starting with curriculum, there are so many things going on, and a few of the highlights are, one, the first thing that's going on is that there are conversations that are occurring right now between teachers, between administration, where we're really looking at our high school course catalog and looking at to see whether or not there are maybe some unnecessary prerequisites or barriers that have just not necessarily intentionally been placed but have evolved over the years that might be impeding the access and the progress for some of our students. So we want to make sure that we have equal access for all of our students and things aren't being placed on them unnecessarily. Second, we are investigating and looking to add some really interesting and unique high school classes and opportunities for our students, such as geometry in construction, which is taking a rigorous geometry class and embedding the geometry work into the actual process of construction. So it would be a dual class that is getting a lot of traction throughout the country. Another class is Real World Survivor, which sounds really interesting and game showy, but it's not. It's looking at the impact of global poverty and the impact of that on a global scale, and that is actually in partnership with the Heifer Ranch Global Passport Program down in Arkansas. Another thing that we started last year and would like to get some more students involved would be participation in the St. Louis CAPS program, and CAPS is the Center for Advanced Professional Studies, where students participate in a year-long program where they're partnering with industries and businesses around the areas of either technology, business, engineering, or biomedical, bioscience medicine, where they're really working on hands-on, real-life educational opportunities outside of the typical classroom. In the elementary school and middle school, we have implemented STEM science kits. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, which provides students the opportunities to participate in engineering and scientific experimental activities within their school setting. We also have a realigned focus in kindergarten and first grade for ELA and math, in order to support and provide interventions for our students who enter our school system behind their grade level peers. And we are seeing that some of our students are coming to us that need extra support. And so we're refocusing our curricular alignment on that. We're also currently in the process of designing ways to screen for and address the needs of students who are identified with dyslexia in the school, and that is something that we will be implementing for next school year. Around the areas of assessment, we have realigned the assessments that we have used. We've added some new assessments and realigned others for those assessments used to identify students for reading intervention services, kindergarten through 8th grade. This allows us for longitudinal look at data and see how our students are progressing across time. In addition, we have implemented NWEA benchmark assessments. NWEA stands for Northwest Evaluation Association assessments. Those are benchmark assessments that are given 3 times a year. This is being done kindergarten through 6th grade this year, and for the first time allows us to really track students' progress on not only Webster Grove's curricular goals, but the Missouri learning standards in both math and reading. We are providing an opportunity this year after the state cut funding. We are providing the opportunity for all students to take the ACT free of charge. This will provide equal access for all of our students on this important assessment as they move into their future after high school. We have realigned our K-5 progress report to be aligned to the new science curriculum that was adopted last year, that was formally adopted last year, that was revised. And in addition, we have revised when the Algebra 1 and the American Government EOC assessments are given. EOC stands for end of course exams. In high school, students are required to take 4 end of course exams before they graduate, 1 in each of the 4 content areas. In the current practice, it's very feasible that students entering high school as a freshman could conceivably be taking 3 of the 4 EOC exams their freshman year. And by realigning the exams and when they're given, it's more aligned to our high school curriculum, and it also spreads out those exams for the betterment of students. Looking at professional development, currently this year for the first time our pre-K through 8th grade staff are participating in cross-district professional development cohorts of their choosing from a list of identified needs that was developed by the IDEA committee coordinators and administrators. And the high school staff is participating in a cohort within the high school setting as well. This year we sent a group of teachers for the first time and created the Webster Groves STEM. Again, STEM is science, technology, engineering, math. TQ cohort. TQ stands for teacher quality. That's in partnership with Webster University. Teachers participated in an intensive 2-week course this summer and are meeting on a monthly basis for professional development and to learn ways to continue to integrate STEM activities into their curriculum in a meaningful way. In addition to that, there has been professional development opportunities provided to teachers around the areas of project-based learning. Teachers participated in professional development from the Reading and Writing Project Network from Columbia University Teachers College. They had the opportunity for adding participating in the Adding It Up conference this summer, which brought in nationally recognized speakers such as Graham Fletcher and Robert Kaplinski in the areas of mathematics instruction. And there's ongoing learning around the idea and the theme of responsive spaces with the work of Rebecca Hare and Peter Littman. So looking at next steps, we will continue to look at how we can expand our high school class options and ways to expand choices for our middle school students as well. We're taking a renewed look at our curriculum through a critical lens to ensure that our curriculum isn't just looking at it from a Eurocentric standpoint, in order to make sure that we're honoring the voices of all of our students. Next year, we plan to roll out the NWEA assessments for our 7th and 8th grade students at the middle school. And then eventually, we'll be talking about the possibility of adding that at the high school level as well. And we'll continue to provide professional development opportunities for our staff around identified educational needs, specifically around the areas of equity and the themes of the School for Today report. So, this time the state has not released any of this year's data. The data is delayed coming from the state, so I do not have a current student success or data report for you, but I have linked on the presentation, which you can find on the district webpage, the 3 presentations that were given last year for last year's data and for our title and intervention review. So if you have any questions or want more information, you can find out about what was presented for last year. So at this time, I'll introduce Mr. John M. Thomas, and he's going to speak to you about student services.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being a part of tonight's event. There are a few areas that I'd like to share with you tonight regarding student services. These are areas that I oversee, and I just want to highlight some of the things that we've done with summer school, and then talk to you about some of the new things that we're doing with student supports, and then talk a little bit about some changes that we've made to enrollment. So prior to last year, our elementary summer school program was pretty much remedial in nature. Students need to have that recommendation from their classroom teacher to participate in the program so that they could get those supports over the summer so they could be successful the following year. Last year, we totally changed that. We made our elementary summer program open and available to all students. So it was really successful. We had more than double the number of students that we had in prior years, which is great. And it's for students who have been with us. So rising first graders through sixth graders participate in the elementary program. And the elementary program, along with the middle school program, is all focused on project-based learning. All the teachers have been trained in this and implemented throughout the summer. And with project-based learning, the students develop some type of question that they really would like to find the answer to, or maybe there's this problem out there that they're really curious about the solution. So the teacher will integrate various curriculum and content areas into their solution to the problem or their discovery to the answer of the question. And then, so that's what they're doing for most of the unit, or a lot of times the unit would take the entire summer, and at the end they have a culminating project that they present to a panel of experts, or in this case, parents. And you can see the picture there from, I believe these are our second graders last year who were presenting to invited guests. So both programs, the elementary and middle school, free for all children, again, open to all children, and information will be coming out in January or February about enrollment. Likewise, our high school continues to have a successful summer school program. It's open to all incoming ninth graders through seniors. There's 3 components to the program. There's a remedial portion, which is for our students who have struggled in areas and need to recover some credit. There's also a lot of elective choices, so that students can take some courses that maybe they can't fit during the regular school year. And then there are a lot of experiential opportunities, similar to the ones that Dr. Simpson spoke about. And again, it's free for all students, high school students, and enrollment information usually comes out around spring break. We've also, in terms of student supports, there's several areas I want to highlight with this. We've joined Character Plus this year, which offers us a lot of ways that we can provide supports for our children. There are many tenets to character education, including fostering self-motivation, creating caring communities, having a challenging curriculum, like Dr. Dembo spoke about, having shared responsibility, and many other things. And I know this is kind of hard to see, but you can see through all of these opportunities, our staff have the chance to be trained in these things to help our children succeed. And then also with character education, through Character Plus, it helps us with a couple of other areas that we've identified that we want to explore and work on. And that's being trauma-informed and having restorative practices in our school. So these are two areas that we're just beginning the exploration and learning stages of. We all realize that a lot of times children come to us having experienced trauma, and because of that, they're not able to succeed in a way that they may be able to without that exposure. So we want to be able to identify that, understand why the child may have experienced that, and then intervene at appropriate times so that we can hopefully help that child become more successful and avoid being re-traumatized. There is a national conference that's going to be in town next month, and we have several staff members who are attending that conference, and they'll be going back to their schools and sharing, and then we'll be having some other professionals in working with us throughout the school year in this area. In terms of restorative practices, again, this is an area we're kind of in our infancy of learning about. And with restorative practices, it's all about having healthy, trustful relationships. And then if there's a way in which that relationship has been harmed or that trust has been broken, there are means to help alleviate that and repair that. And we have 4 schools that are really active in this right now. 3 of them will be participating in Character Plus Restorative Practices Academy, and that's Edgar Road, Hudson, and Bristol. So they'll be doing that throughout the school year. And then we're really fortunate to have Dr. Lee with us. The school that she was at previously, she had done a lot of work with restorative practices, and really it was one of the schools that like the highlight of the area in terms of restorative practices. So she's implementing that at Hickson. And if you have a chance, you can go to our website. There's a little YouTube video of Dr. Lee leading a restorative circle discussion with some of her students. Next, I want to talk about something that's usually not too pleasant to talk about. Something that's really hard for administrators to do is to tell children that they can't come to school because of a decision that they've made. And that's when we have to suspend students out of school. But really, even without doing these previous things that I've mentioned, we've had a lot of success in this area in terms of decreasing the number of students making poor choices and the consequences leading to an out-of-school suspension. So you can see that in the last 5 years, we've drastically reduced our numbers. Last year there were, I think, like 25, 26, 27 suspensions at the elementary level, 55-ish at the middle school level, and 45-ish, 50-ish at the high school level. So we continue to work on other ways that we can reinforce in children proper decision making, and you can see the results of that through these numbers. We're also in the process of revising our discipline policy, our Board of Education discipline policy. Currently we have one policy, and it covers all grade levels K through 12. So last spring we started working with the elementary principals, and we're continuing to work on one that's more geared towards our younger learners, and then when we're finished with that, we'll work with our middle school and high school discipline policies so that they're appropriate for the maturity level and age level of our children. And then lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about some changes we've made to our enrollment process. through some feedback we received, we revised our enrollment registration packet. Before, we were trying to fit a lot of information on just 1 or 2 pages, and it really was not very user-friendly. So we changed that format, and we're implementing it, and I think it's working. And then we kill a lot of trees when it's back to school time with a lot of forms that we ask parents to complete. So actually, later on this week, there's a group of administrators getting together who will be looking at what kind of electronic or online options do we have to capture that information. So then 2 last things. This is my website or my Twitter account where I try to put out some student service related stuff. And I'm glad this is on YouTube because my mom and dad can watch. Hi, Mom and Dad. And next, I'd like to introduce Ellie Jacobs, who was our area coordinator for special education here at the high school.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity tonight. What I'm most proud of here in Webster Groves is that we continue to build a strong partnership every day and each year. What I want you to know that each day we work hard together, not separate, for all of our children. Through our vision and mission, we are providing innovative educational and supportive service opportunities for students with special needs. We're committed from pre-K to high school to enrich the lives of and create opportunities that allow our students to meet their post-secondary goals. Our core values speak for themselves. We, as a district, Webster Grove School District and Special School District, exemplify these core values inside our schools each day. We have collaborative goals that I bring to the district from Special School District that we work on together. The first one regards student performance. We work together to build quality programs at each level. We are lucky enough to tap into the expertise from people from 2 school districts that allow us to access the most up-to-date research-based strategies and techniques for all of our students. The second goal is regarding workforce excellence. Because we're so focused on building relationships together as a staff, with our families and with our students, together we're committed to student success. And finally, engagement. We're focused on key stakeholder involvement. Together with all of you, we create a comprehensive experience for all of our students. Next up is Dr. Sandy Wiley with Human Resources.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I must say that I am incredibly honored to be here in Webster Grove School District. It has been a pleasure to work with such an amazing staff for the students in the community. Been very happy about that. In addition to my team, HR team is a phenomenal team. Just want to briefly talk about some of the things that we've worked on for last year, being my first year in Human Resources. We've done a lot of work with regard to streamlining HR and business systems. This is really a behind-the-scenes process that most of you may not have knowledge of, but the business office and Human Resources has to work together really in unison in order to ensure that everything is functioning properly for our staff members. And so we've really been working to try to make sure our systems are aligned. Safe Schools training is another process that we brought on last year. It used to be a process of a PowerPoint, and now we actually have people, our staff members, who have the ability to go online at their leisure. They're given a time frame to review policies and practices that we need for them to know for the upcoming school year. We also last year did went through a huge process with our support staff committee, and we were actually able to establish equity pay for our support staff and nurses. That was a huge concern for the support staff members as we met with them last year, and we are happy to say that right now our support staff and nurses, their salaries and what we offer them as our district is definitely competitive with what's happening with the other districts in our community. We are very happy to announce last year that we eliminated the waiting list for Adventure Club. That was something that was a hardship to a number of our families, and we are, again, very happy that last year we were able to eliminate that process through the work of Marty Baker and the Adventure Club staff. And then lastly, last year, we worked on the development of a new salary compensation schedule for our teachers. Needless to say, we did a lot of work last year, but we're very proud of what we were able to accomplish. This year, and for this the rest of my presentation, I really want to talk about these three bullet points here. Recruitment, retention, and hiring practices for 17-18 will really be a huge focus for us. We're really working on the human part of human resources, making sure that we're reaching a variety of communities, a variety of people in order to best serve our children. We'll also talk about the current demographics of our professional staff, knowing that we want to diversify our staff and what does that look like, what is our current reality, and how are we going to move forward from that. And then we'll also talk about Webster, which is a new visitor and volunteer management system that hopefully we will get off the ground around winter of this year. So we can first begin with our overall goal of designing and implementing a plan to hire and retain a more professional staff of color. We really want to have a staff that is indicative and representative of the students that we serve. So we will have a number of heavy recruitment efforts. We do have a current subcommittee that will be working on each area. And with regard to recruitment, our goal is to get into universities. We're hoping to partner and get some of our administrators into classrooms. We're hoping to start this work with sophomores at our area universities. We will also do research on a number of the universities that are in our area and maybe even outside of the state of Missouri that have a high concentration of diverse student teachers so that we can maybe begin to make those connections to bring them in. With regard to retention, we're going to work very heavily upon what are we doing with our new teachers after year two. So when we hire new teachers, they have a mentor that's assigned to them for years 1 and 2. There's a very strategic process that they follow. There's a lot of support. But then what happens year 3? And then what happens year 4 or 5? So our hope is to really embark upon a process with those new teachers year 3 through 5 to see what supports they might need. How are they doing? To make sure that they know that we're still there to support them and ensure that they have what they need in order for them to be successful. With regard to hiring practices, that's a huge one as well. We really plan to look at our interview process, our interview questions. We also plan to look at our interview panels as a whole. How do we establish a process where we are inviting? How do we help those diverse candidates come into an atmosphere that is warm, that it's inviting for them? We want to make sure that the processes that we establish and we put in place before all types of candidates, all different candidates, will be one that will be representative of our district, number one, and then number two, that allows us to definitely select the best candidate out of that process. So that is a lot of work. We have a 1-year plan that we are kind of working on now. We will present this information with the board and get some feedback very soon. But then after 1 year, we will continue to take an analysis of where we are and build year 2, year 3. This is definitely going to be something that will be an ongoing process. This is our current certified staff demographics for 17-18. You'll notice the total number of teachers we have in our district, and then you'll notice the percentage. So again, for this year, we have about 349 certificated teachers. 92.8% of them are white, 7.2% are African American, and we have no Hispanic and Asian teachers. And then the breakdown further goes to female teachers versus male teachers. And so this will kind of be a foundational data point that we plan to utilize in order to assist us in knowing where we want to go. We know where we are now, and then how are we going to move forward with this information that we have. Also wanted to briefly share with you about the education and experience of our current teaching staff. As you see, we've had at least, at bare minimum, 80% of our teaching staff that have at least a master's degree or above. And again, our average years of teaching, that number continues to grow. Our teachers, when they're here, we're very happy that they feel that this is a place where they can continue to grow and develop as a professional. And so we find that we do have a good retention rate for our teachers here. And so as you see there, we're at 16.48 years of experience on average within our district. Really quickly, I want to talk about Webster. This is really a parent-driven addition to our work. Getting here last year, we found that the volunteer application process was really cumbersome. It was not necessarily welcoming to some families, rather intrusive, some parents described it. And so after hearing some of that feedback and talking to some parents last year, we actually established a committee this year to further talk with parents to figure out how can we remedy this. If you want to go on a field trip with your child, it really shouldn't be cumbersome. It should be a very easy, seamless process. And so what Webster does, it provides an electronic process that can happen at schools, on hand, on site, for parents to be able to gain access to the school after they've cleared the volunteer process. And so what we've been doing, we've been working on this probably for the past month and a half or so. We have a parent committee in addition to talking with our administrative staff, and we've met with Webster via phone on a number of occasions to try to figure out how we can get this up and running. Our target date for this will be in winter of 2017, so we're hoping that this will come up very, very soon. We actually had a meeting today to finalize some things. And again, the whole hope of this is to really make sure that parents feel welcomed, that we streamline the process and make it even more so inviting for parents to participate in the volunteer process at the school, whether you be a visitor or a volunteer. We have a video here that kind of talks about Webster and how it works. Oh, no, it didn't do that. I don't know what I did. We'll try to get it up and running. But again, the whole volunteer process, really, the whole hope of this is to streamline it and make it more user-friendly at the school environment.
Here's how Raptor Technology's industry-leading visitor management system works. Your new visitors give front desk personnel their government-issued ID. The staff member at your school places the ID on the scanner connected to your Raptor system. Raptor hunts through the sex offender registries of all 50 states. It also checks your database for any custodial issues or other. If a match or a potential match is found, Raptor alerts you immediately. The Raptor system can also notify security personnel or local law enforcement via text message. If the visitor is cleared, Raptor prints a badge with all of the necessary information: the visitor's name, their destination, and a picture with the date and time. That's how it works. Contact us today to find out how Raptor can protect your school.
Same day at the school. You see it actually takes place there. All of the technology will be available. And again, we hope to have more of that to come for around December of this year, and we'll definitely send communication out. So for next steps for human resources, I just want to continue to reiterate our goal of hiring a diverse staff. We will definitely have committee participation, and we will utilize the Webster Grove School District community support with a number of events that we hope to put on for this school year and, of course, for next year. And then hiring for 18-19, making sure we expand our hiring practices, make sure we have those diversity fairs and workshops that are in place for our hopefully incoming teachers. So now we'll return it over to Mr. Bruce Elliman, which is our Chief Financial Officer and Director of Operations.
Thank you, and good evening, and thank you for your time. Also thankful that finally it's my turn to get up here because I'm a little bit, I have to warn you, I'm a little bit OCD, and I'm sitting over there while the other folks are talking, and OCD is, I have to have everything just perfect, and so I'm over there revising my notes and my comments, and to the point that I hope I can still follow them here. So if you'll please, if you'll bear with me. Dr. Simpson mentioned earlier that the district has nothing to hide, and that's certainly true. But we do have a little bit to brag about. So far, you've heard a lot tonight about students and staff, which are rightfully the primary focus of a high-performance school district. But there are also a number of critical, behind-the-scenes finance and operational functions that support teaching and instruction in the district. Indeed, if one considers teaching and learning as the hands and mind of the district, moving with all deliberate thought and intent, then finance and operations are surely the heart and lungs of the district, autonomously working to provide a foundation to support the primary teaching and learning mission of the district. These finance and operation functions include administrative technology, food service, transportation, facilities, finance, and budget. When things are going well in these support functions, just like with the heart and lungs, they tend to work quietly in the background without notice. However, if a problem does occur in one of them, it can disrupt and distract the entire organization. This evening, I would like to share with you a little information about the work the district has done and is doing to ensure the sustainable cardiovascular health of the district. Beginning with administrative technology. This includes phones and voice, as well as the networks, computer systems, data storage, and security. The district approaches that by doing most of the work in that area in-house. We do in-house repair and support of most computer issues. We recently relocated the data center actually from the location here in the high school to the service center down on Brentwood Boulevard. Just completed that this summer. We also have recently converted to a new fiber optic provider, which provides the district's data and voice network, and the new provider cuts the cost of providing that by 30 to 40%, as well as providing the infrastructure that enabled the district to upgrade its phone equipment, which we're currently in the process of doing, which then in turn allows the district to reconfigure its phone lines in such a way to take advantage of more current voice over internet processing technology and reduce the line costs, the phone line costs of the district by $30,000 to $35,000 a year as well. The district is also looking at opportunities to reduce technology-related energy costs by looking at computer activity monitoring software that monitors all of the computers on the network, and after a certain period of inactivity would automatically put those computers to sleep. We haven't implemented that yet. We'll be talking about that in the district leadership team meeting later on this week for implementation later on this year. The next area, food service. Really, food service in the school district is equivalent to a fairly good-sized restaurant with activity amounting to almost $1 million a year in operations. It's achieved through a contracted service with Chartwells. We have a 5-year agreement that expires in 2018-19, at which time it will be bid out again. The program has been running for the past several years at a surplus. That surplus has been building in the balances for food service to the point that we can now consider some upgrades to some of the district food service equipment, like dishwashers that are old and in need of repair and can probably get some more energy efficient by making a one-time investment in dishwashers, have something that operates with less water and less electricity, as well as look at possibly relocating a walk-in freezer, an old inefficient walk-in freezer that's constantly breaking down over at Steger, relocating that over to the service center and implementing more efficient technology in that way as well. Because the program's been operating at a surplus, we've been able to hold the line on pricing. The lunch and breakfast prices in the district have not increased for the past 3 years. They're among the lowest in the county at this point. $2 for breakfast, $2.75 for elementary school lunch, and $2.90 for secondary school lunch. So the food service is in good shape. We're currently searching for a new director for that operation with Chartwells. The next area is transportation, which is available to resident students who meet specific distance from school requirements. We currently have service at the high school, at Hickson, Steger Computer School, Edgar Road, and Clark. Those are the schools where students live far enough from the school to be distance eligible for service. It's a fee-based service, $200 per semester, unless the student qualifies for a free pass, a free meal. Eligible student would be eligible for a free pass if they meet certain distance criteria. The district runs 5 buses on a tiered schedule, which means they'll do an A run and a B run in the morning, and then an A run and a B run in the afternoon. It makes more efficient use of the capital assets of the buses. We contract for transportation similar to the way we contract for food service. The contract is currently with First Student, which is in the first year of a 3-year contract. We have approximately 370 daily riders, and there currently are no wait lists for service. That had been a challenge and an issue in the district in the past. We were able to address those through some routing changes and more efficiently using our bus assets, and we're able to eliminate all of the waiting lists last year and been able to continue that on into this year. We collect the fee-based service collects about $75,000 to go toward the $250,000 a year cost, so the district subsidizes the transportation by about $175,000 a year for students who are eligible for that service. Facilities. I probably begin this by mentioning that the facilities area is monitored and reviewed by a building, what's called a building advisory committee. It's one of 3 official board committees and includes a group of taxpayers and residents who, with expertise, experience, education in facilities and facilities management. They monitor and review issues related to the district's facilities and advise the district and the board on facilities-related matters. Meets monthly. The agendas are posted both online and at the district office. And we currently actually have 2 openings on that committee, so if anyone's here with some facilities expertise and would like to join that committee, please contact me, and we can consider your candidacy for that. One of the most immediately obvious aspects of the district facilities when someone comes into the district and looks around is that they're old. But the good news is that they may be old, but they've been maintained very well. The major systems like the roofs, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, and the foundation, which those are the 3 primary elements of the buildings, have been maintained very well. And so it's kept our buildings in good condition in spite of their age. But just like your homes, no matter how well, and your cars, no matter how well you maintain them, eventually the wear and tear on them will cause the need for replacement and renovations. So the district is undertaking a comprehensive assessment facilities assessment to take a look at all of the facilities in the district and identify any maintenance, ongoing maintenance and repair, immediate maintenance and repair needs, as well as to look out and create a rolling plan of sorts of future expected replacements and repairs that are needed, and help the district develop what budget allocations might be necessary to support those. When we talk about all facilities in the district, we're talking about 900,000 square feet, almost 1 million square feet of space under roof. It represents an investment of about $160 million. And when you look at that divided by the district enrollment, that's an investment in plant of about $35,000 per student to support the educational effort. Our current enrollment capacity on a desirable level is about 4,500 students. The maximum capacity is about 5,000 students, and our current enrollment K-12 is about the 4,500. That doesn't mean we're right at the desirable level in every building, because these are total district numbers, and the students don't occur in each attendance area exactly with what the desirable capacity of that building is. So we have some buildings that are below desirable capacity, some buildings that are above desirable capacity, but all of our buildings currently are below the maximum capacities. As we look out at our enrollment projections, and as we look at the facilities through the comprehensive plan, we may identify some future needs for new spaces or other adjustments to move students around to fit where the capacity is, or to create space where the students are needed. But right now, for this year and for the foreseeable future, the next couple of years, the district, it looks like the district has enough in existing space to accommodate the students that are enrolled. In terms of some things that we're looking at going out forward, we are looking and implementing energy conservation measures, where the district is undertaking a project to replace all of the lighting in the district, which is primarily fluorescent lighting now, T8 fluorescent lighting, with more energy efficient LED lighting. We can switch out a 32-watt fluorescent bulb with an 11-watt LED bulb that provides the same quantity of light and actually a better quality of light that's more of a natural light instead of a harsh fluorescent light. So create a better learning environment that uses 1/3 of the electricity. We expect that will save the district $60,000 to $80,000 a year in electricity costs. We're also experimenting, piloting a demand meter at one of our least energy efficient schools. At Clark Elementary, we've implemented a demand meter which will monitor the amount of electricity used 24 hours a day. We can look at that demand curve and try to determine why Clark Elementary has the highest cost per square foot for electricity in the district, even higher than the high school, even higher than some schools that you might suspect would have a higher energy cost, because they're open longer, they're open during the summer, and perhaps older buildings, Clark and I have to add Edgar Road as well. Those are the kind of the two highest cost per square foot schools. Those are the schools that we're concentrating on initially. We actually are doing some benchmarking as well, where we've input the gas and electricity usage for some pilot buildings, the high school, Hickson, and Bristol in particular, and put them into the Energy Star website. And the Energy Star develops a score, compares and benchmarks a school against similar institutions and what energy they use based on the number of employees, the square footage, the number of computers, whether there's any cafeterias and kitchens, and it takes all of these factors into account and generates a score. Any district that scores baseline 70 or higher is eligible for Energy Star certification, which means you're more energy efficient than 70% of the schools or 70% of the organizations that are out there similar to you. We just recently got back the scores on the benchmarking for the high school in Hickson. We are currently, the high school in Hickson are about 90. Or Hickson is 84, the high school in Bristol are about 90. So we're very efficient in those schools, and we're looking forward to getting the results for Edgar Roden Clark to see where they score, because even though they may be the highest cost schools in the district, they may still be relatively efficient schools compared to the general population out there. They're just not as efficient as the schools that we have here that are scoring at that 90th percentile. We're also looking at retro commissioning, which is a fancy term for tuning up the systems that use electricity, particularly the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning is a big user, particularly air conditioning during the summer. And we're looking at evaluating that old equipment, and even though it's functional and operational, it doesn't mean it's efficient. Maybe there's valves or sensors that aren't working properly, or software and setbacks that aren't exactly the way they should be. The good thing about this is both with the LED lighting conversion as well as the retro commissioning, Ameren is offering incentives and actually covers the entire cost of a retro commissioning study to identify any opportunities to improve efficiency. And they are subsidizing the cost of LED light conversion. The LED lights are costing us a little over $6 for each light, and Ameren's paying a rebate of $5 of that. So the net cost to the district is about $1.40, and we recover that cost in energy savings in about 3 to 4 months. And then everything after that is pure savings. And again, that we expect that to be $60,000 to $80,000 a year. Finally, I also wanted to note a recent acquisition of property at 316 Bussy Lane, which is the gravel lane that runs between the parking lots on the other side of Selma. If you're familiar with the high school campus, you'll see that road runs back to a couple of old homes that are back there. The district was not actively seeking to purchase any of that property, but the family who owned it decided that they wanted to sell it, approached the district, and we recognize it as a strategic opportunity for the district in general and for the high school campus in particular. For the price of a single lot, the district is gaining acres of future flexibility for the high school master plan west of Selma by being able to close Bussy Lane, and by purchasing this single piece of property. That the reason Bussy Lane is there, which is a private lane, is to serve that home, and so we are going to be able to close Bussy Lane and unite those two separate parcels into one larger parcel, and that would present future planning opportunities for the school district as we think about the high school master plan and how to best use the property here on this campus going forward. Finally, finance and budget, and last and certainly not least. You might be interested to know that overseeing all of the district's financial and budget-related activities, similar to the facilities side, where we have a building advisory committee, we have a finance advisory committee that's comprised of district taxpayers and parents. Like the building advisory committee, this group formally monitors the district's budget and finances and reviews financial issues, budget projections, and actual to budget results. They also meet on a monthly basis, and it also makes recommendations to the board regarding those financial issues and the district's financial position. Those meetings are also open meetings and are posted on the district's website as well as at the central office. We had 3 or 4 openings on that. We had 5 candidates express interest already, and we're in the process of going through those candidates and filling those positions at this time. On behalf of the district and the Finance Advisory Committee, when we talk about the district's finances in particular and budget, I'm pleased to report that Webster Grove School District is on a firm and sustainable financial foundation going forward. A strengthening economy, growth in the district's tax base, increased state funding, and a relentless focus on efficiencies, some of the examples I mentioned earlier, and new revenue sources have all contributed to this optimistic outlook. These factors have also contributed to strengthened financial reserve balances, which now amount to a healthy 35% of the annual budget. That reserve allows the district to both operate on a cash flow positive basis throughout the entire school year, because the district is dependent on property taxes, and property taxes aren't received until December and January. That represents 2 out of every $3 that the district receives in property taxes, but yet school starts in August and the district has a lot of bills to pay until we get our primary revenue source in December and January. So on June 30th, when our fiscal year ends, we need a substantial reserve there to get through the cash flow lean months until we start receiving the property taxes in December and January. We also need a reserve fund for unforeseen emergencies that may come up that would have to be addressed that weren't anticipated in the original budget. So having a healthy reserve puts the district in a position to both be cash flow self-sufficient and address emergencies that may come up. At the same time, the district's been able to achieve this while reducing the tax levy. This year, the tax levy is, for 2017, the tax levy is down over 30 cents from the tax levy last year. And it's down more than 50 cents from its peak several years ago. And it includes a 1 cent of a voluntary rollback implemented by the Board of Education related to the district's conversion of full-day kindergarten funding from parent-based tuition to state funding. Even with this reduced tax rate, district projections indicate a balanced budget for the foreseeable future, which is a 3-year period. We do our budget projections out 3 years without requiring any additional resources. In other words, without requiring a tax increase. Some might characterize that rather optimistic and stable outlook as a significant departure from the 5-year cycle of the past, and they would be right. In fact, the district's levy is no longer one of the highest in St. Louis County, but has declined to the point of basically being about average. The district's total levy out of the 22 school districts in St. Louis County, Webster Grove's total tax rate now ranks about 10th. Furthermore, the district is now well positioned with a newly restructured but highly competitive, consistent, and sustainable teacher salary schedule that enables it to recruit, retain, and develop the best and the brightest teachers at a reduced cost that will be about $500,000 less when fully implemented than the old salary schedule, and it will be more consistently competitive across the salary schedule. The old schedule was over-competitive in some steps and channels and under-competitive at other steps and channels, and so we have made it consistently competitive at all steps and channels at a cost when fully implemented. Like I said, it will be $500,000 less than the old schedule. In addition, numerous initiatives have been completed or currently underway to improve operating efficiencies and expand district resources. I mentioned the full-day kindergarten. Everybody's aware of that. The energy conservation, phone system upgrade, the summer school expansion that Dr. Thomas mentioned before actually brings with it additional state revenues that more than covered the cost of expanding the summer school program. So in short, the school district has positioned itself to sustainably produce above average results on what is now basically just an average tax levy. At the same time, that doesn't mean there are no future challenges to be faced. In fact, probably the district's biggest challenge ahead will be how to best address the aging infrastructure and capital investment of the district that we mentioned when we were talking about facilities. Just like a house, school buildings require not only annual maintenance and upkeep, but occasional replacement of major systems such as roofs, windows, paved areas, and so forth. Such replacements involve substantial funding. That's one of the reasons why the district has been and continues to proactively structure its finances in a manner to support these maintenance requirements through a combination of annual budget funding and the potential consideration of a future bond issue depending on the urgency and timing of needs identified in the comprehensive facilities plan that the district is currently having done. As part of this proactive approach and plan, the district recently, last year, transferred about $1.5 million from surpluses over to the debt service fund to shore up and stabilize the debt service fund. At the same time, the board heard a report at its last meeting where there's an opportunity for the district to refinance some of its outstanding debts, or outstanding bonds, and save about $891,000 in future interest costs. A combination of the rising tax base that was mentioned, the refinancing of the bonds, and the balance transfers that have been made has put the district in a position to have a significant amount of bonding capacity available without requiring a tax increase for that. So once we get the results, the report from the infrastructure study, we see how much is needed, what it's needed for, what the priority, what the urgency is of those. We can evaluate and see, can we do this just through annual budget allocations, or will we need to consider a no tax increase bond issue, or will the needs be of such a magnitude and an urgency that we may have to even consider something else. But the good thing is the district is doing that analysis, doing that planning, so we can quantify what those needs are and be able to communicate what those needs are. That's the first step in working on anything like that. And of course, any future bond issue, if considered, would be submitted to be required to be submitted by to the voters for a vote. In summary, we believe that the district has been, for the past year and a half, doing a lot of work to put the district in a position to achieve sustainable, above-average results on an average tax levy. And I even thought one of the words like I said, I'm wordsmithing this and getting ready to do this, is inserting the word quietly, because we've been quietly going about the work, so we're quietly achieving sustainable, above-average results on an average tax levy. So that concludes my comments. I'm pleased to introduce Kathy Vesperini, the district's Director of Communications.
Good evening. And lastly, a few words about communication. I thought we might first look at our goal, which essentially is strengthening bonds between the school district and our 5 communities. Some of the ways that we're going about this include a communication survey that we did earlier this year. We asked several questions about how people like to receive information, how we might get information back, and topics on what people would like to hear about, which include funding and budget, curriculum, and how decisions are made. What is the rationale on the decisions that get made at the district? We also have several Meet the Board of Education meetings monthly. We are having Meet the Superintendent meetings where people can come and talk with Dr. Simpson and ask questions. And we have an array of committees on various topics that include members of the public, and we welcome more. And my office promotes more understanding of what the committees do and the openings we have on those committees. Another method is social media. We are using Facebook and Twitter to raise awareness and tell our story, and we're seeing increased interaction. always looking for more. We are in the process of building a new website. We have a new content management system that we're moving to, which will be fully compatible with all devices, which is good news for people who like to look at it on their telephones. We're going to take a look at, we have a prototype right now. Our webmaster, Pat Weaver, is working very hard on this, but you can see it has lots of big pictures. It's easy to read. It's streamlined. It includes all the information that the old site had. We think it looks better, and we think it'll be well received. Scroll back, and this will actually be a slideshow, which we aren't able to do right now with the system we have. Other. This year, I am very lucky to have a high school senior helping me as an intern all year. She's writing, she's taking pictures, she's working on the social media. Arden Armstrong, who's a senior here, and I feel very lucky to have her. We also have 3 new tech helpers who do outreach to seniors in local retirement complexes. They visit Bethesda Orchard and Pacific Place weekly, year-long, including the summer, at their own behest. They wish to continue, and they do a great job, too. They help people with their email or apps or Skyping. These fellows are helping one of the ladies at Pacific Place with her cell phone. She had a new cell phone and didn't know how to work it. We will also continue our traditional means of communication, such as the newsletter and news media relations, advertising, photos, etc. And some of our next steps include increasing our social media presence with Facebook features, mini surveys, Twitter campaigns, and we hope to be tailoring stories for the newsletters of our 5 communities.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for, I know that was a lot of information to take in. I know all the administrators in the room would be like, oh my gosh, that was the worst lesson ever. Just a big sit and get. The teachers would say that as well. But it was a lot of content information. As you know, in Webster, we're extraordinarily lean in terms of the administrators and how spread they are. But it's a great group of people that's really committed to meeting the needs of kids. So with that, we wanted to open it up to you for any questions, comments that you have. Would somebody mind being a mic? Sandy, you're moving a little bit. Would you mind going down there and getting the microphone? Okay. Wanted to give you an opportunity just to, again, a comment or question for anybody that's here. Mr. Buck.
Couple comments. First of all, I've lived in Webster 18 years, been in the district 12 years. This is the first time the district has even attempted something like this, and my hat is off to you, and I hope you do it every year, and I found it extremely helpful, so thank you from this parent or grandparent of the district. My comment is that I personally think that the state of the district lies on the shoulders of the people. I think this education is a people business. It's about human connections. And here's just my quick rundown. First of all, I think everybody on the administration is like, they're great people. They do tremendous work. John, you know, I think you're a transformational leader. And I think if anybody is going to lead this district from very good to great, I think it'll be you. I think we're really fortunate to have a school board of 7 dedicated adults who meet, you know, every 2 weeks to take care of the business of this district. It's a hard job, and they do it unselfishly, and it's great. The principals of this district, from the child developer Marty Baker at the Ambrose Center all the way up to the grace and humility of John Clark here at the high school, are like top-notch. But as everybody knows, the #1 determinant of student success is having an outstanding teacher in the classroom. I mean, above technology, above curriculum, is having an outstanding human being interacting, who knows how to communicate with those kids and inspire them to greatness. And those are teachers like Renee Clifton at Bristol, Ted Iber at Steger, Don Meyer at Hickson, Kara Seavey here at the high school. And then finally, my point is, the people we really haven't talked about too much tonight are the students. The students in this district. And I've had 3 kids go to John Burroughs, and so I have a really good comparison, okay? The students in this district have no equal. They are extraordinary, and their potential is unbelievable. And if you don't believe me, Kara, I think this December is when Mr. Webster comes back again, and if you want to get a glimpse of what these students are capable of from a creativity standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, come to Mr. Webster and you will be blown away. And that's why I am blown away by this district. I'm really fortunate to be here. I'm fortunate for my kids. I'm fortunate for my grandson who's in 3rd grade at Bristol. So just thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
I appreciate that comment, Mr. Buck, and I appreciate thank you for the very generous comments. I think speaking on behalf of everybody, and I couldn't agree with you more on everything that you said. Especially on that teacher piece. We had a conversation recently, some of us, and we were talking about our systems and everything that influences the learner experience in our school system, and how some things are great, some things need to change, or some things need to be evolved. And we were talking about all these things that contribute to that experience, but it was a consensus 100% that the most decisive element that we all know is that teacher in the classroom with the child. And I agree, I would take a loving, caring, hardworking, dedicated teacher over any computer or anything any day. And great plug for Mr. Webster. That is an awesome event. Thank you.
I'm going to insert one quick thing for the board, and thank you for being here on behalf of the board. I never thought I would say I'd be one of the senior members of the board, but I guess other than Emerson Smith, I'm the longest serving board member. And we just returned from the MSBA annual conference, and we were fortunate to have all 7 of our board members attend this year. And it's an amazing experience, but one of the things that we really get an opportunity to do is hear the highs and the lows and the goods and the bads of the other 500-plus school districts out there. Not everybody sends representatives, but they send a lot. I mean, there's hundreds of board members and superintendents, and I can tell you, and I'll probably see Arnold and Jean's head nod, because one of the things that hit me right off the bat when I first got on the board is how fortunate we are to have the district that we have. Unfortunately, not every district is that fortunate to have a cohesive unit that runs the everyday district operations and business and curriculum and does everything with the students in mind, and a superintendent and a board that really do get along well. We see and hear about the horror stories around the nation, but specifically in our state of Missouri, about things that other districts have to battle, and nepotism on the board and infighting, and superintendents that don't want board members to be liaisons to the schools, and the school people that don't like their board members. We don't have that here, and we are so fortunate to have the cohesiveness that this group as a whole exhibits on a day-to-day basis, and that's one thing I can see from every single principal and staff member and teacher out in the schools, because I've been a liaison to basically, I think I've made it to every school at least for a year as being a liaison, and it's just the coolest thing in the world to go and be a part and watch what's going on at our schools on a daily basis and be a part of their events and things like that, and it's really, really wonderful. So anybody else have additional comments or questions? Thank you for indulging me a couple minutes to tout our group here. Yes, ma'am.
I know you in your presentation you were talking about you're starting to work on issues with dyslexia. I was wondering, have teachers already started learning how to work with students with dyslexia, and just going forward, like especially in the high school, what what are you guys doing to
Right.
work on that?
That comes out of legislation that came from the state of Missouri. And so that goes into full implementation next year. The state of Missouri has not fully finalized exactly what the requirements are for that school districts have to follow. But in preparation, we have sent some of our reading teachers to Orton Gillingham specifically, and some other specific dyslexia type professional development to focus on that. And so out of when the final recommendations come down from the state as far as the screening process, that will help us frame how we will meet the needs for those students and what interventions and what those interventions will look like. But that will all come online for the 18-19 school year. And so, like I said, in preparation, we've already sent some teachers for training. We're going to continue to send some more of our reading teachers for training. And part of that initiative is that all of our teachers get some basic instruction on what dyslexia is and what are some look-fors when they're in their classrooms.
Okay. Well, again, we're here if you want to continue to come up and talk about anything specific related to any of our areas. We can't thank you enough for being here, for being also viewing us online. I want to thank everybody. Representative Unsicker, I thank you for being here tonight. Your support means a lot. And thank you for your support of the district, and we look forward to partnering with you moving forward. Have a good night.